using this 18-inch Japanese Tombow. It's just a dowel rod. This is made out of oak. I've cut a 36-inch rod in half. You can make your own. Sand it really well, and then you put some oil. I let it soak for a couple days. I sell a lot of these to my students here. If you want any more information on that, check the first link below. But I want you to start with a basic warm-up before we get into the strikes. And the warm-up today is going to be turning your wrist from one side to the other. So you're holding the long side out of your thumb. You're just going to do this motion first. We're going to use both hands today in this workout. As you go through your strikes, I want you to be ambidextrous, be able to hit them with both sides for self-defense. Put it in the other hand after about 30 seconds. And you're just trying to avoid injury by doing a proper warm-up. You're also going to build power in your forearm so that you can strike hard. Hello, Garen. It's good to see you. Garen says good afternoon. After you do that for 30 seconds, go back to your first hand, and you're just going to go down and back. You can do all these standing or sitting. Awkward the cat, good morning. Good to see you. It's actually a little bit afternoon here. Yeah, afternoon. It's morning somewhere, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I think that was from a movie. Wherever you are, I'm glad that you're here training with me. Then you're going to put in the other hand, just forward and back. And again, you're doing two things. You're warming up properly to stay safe from injury. Now that I'll get a comment in the comment section, and you'll tell me, what are you going to tell the guy before he attacks you? Wait, I've got to warm up. No, but when you train, you should warm up because you can warm up. When you have to defend yourself, of course you can't warm up. Go one way for 30 seconds. Then the other hand, you're just making a nice full range of motion. In your range of motion, my range of motion might be different, doesn't matter. Do what works for you. The point is, you're building strength in your grip while you're getting your wrists warmed up, stay safe from injury. And by holding it away from your body, you're also activating all this muscle from your shoulder, your chest, your upper back, out to your hand. Let's see, we're going reverse. And it's all going to keep you safe. Hello, Scott. It's good to see you. Scott said he made his own set of short sticks. That's awesome. I always say invest your time before you invest your morning. Or invest your, Garen said good morning. Invest your money. Invest your time before you invest your money. Welcome from Brazil. Thank you. So from here, it's afternoon in Brazil. The first motion, first strike you're going to use with your short stick and these stick fighting self-defense techniques is going to be a thrusting motion. Notice when you do these, you're extending the arm and you're turning your shoulders and hips, your stomach's up and in, your abs are tight, your other hand is always up. And again, you might be in a wheelchair, you might be in a regular chair because you don't move as well. You can do all of this standing or sitting. But don't limit yourself because I'm standing, you think you have to stand. If you can't stand, don't stand. You're going here, 30 seconds, other hand, same thing. And as far as the footwork goes, as long as your feet are under your body, if you're standing, that's all you have to worry about. Don't worry too much. If you have something you can hit like this, that's a good way to start to build some resistance into your training. But if you don't, just do it in the air. This nice 1.25 inch oak stick full of butcher block oil, I've switched to butcher block oil, is very heavy. As you can hear when I strike, when you go through with this for self-defense, you can defend yourself very effectively because of the strength. So you've done your thrusting strike. The second strike I want you to do is coming off of your shoulder, and I want you to follow through all the way to the other hip. You might hit somebody and stop here and go into another technique, but when you practice that full range of motion, coming off this shoulder, each one of these you're gonna do for 30 seconds, just gradually speeding up until you're moving as fast as you can, and then put in the other hand, turning your shoulders, turning your hips. Always fight from behind your stick. That means not out here, not a big swinging motion. You'll miss them. They'll close the gap. Your arm will wrap around. You'll never hit them. You want to hit them with your stick for self-defense. You want to start from your shoulder. It comes out and through. Out and through. Think about striking his temple, his jaw, hitting right in that jawbone for self-defense. Maybe into the neck. You'll knock him out. Into the arm. Maybe he's reaching for you or he's got a knife, smashing that wrist. and then put it in the first hand, bring it from the opposite side in striking. These are just diagonal strikes from here, going forward, 30 seconds, stomach up and in, abs tight. Notice the turn of your body. That turn is what is creating that explosiveness of the strike. So make sure you get a good turn. Notice if you are standing, when you put it in your left hand, your left foot should come forward. But don't overthink it. Don't worry too much more about footwork than that. Coming off that shoulder, and then back into the first hand and striking horizontally. 2 strikes, one coming out, one coming back through, and you can go through the head, through the arm, into the body, striking down to the knee. Just a fast, explosive, horizontal strike. Hello, Rick. Rick said he pulled his knee working out. I feel you. And John's in Durham, UK. Welcome, John. Been getting a lot of comments lately about how if you have any kind of self-defense tool or even try to defend yourself in the United Kingdom, anywhere, you're going to go to jail. And I understand and appreciate that frustration of those comments and what that represents and stands for. And at the same time, I still advocate for self-defense. Yes, you might defend yourself. You might be wrong in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of your creator. I believe you're right. I think you have every right to defend yourself. But it's your decision to make. I'm just tired of people being a victim, right? When you become a victim, your mindset's a victim, and they're going to do this to me, they're going to do that to me. It doesn't work for me. You're going to come down on this next strike, and again, you're getting really tight. You're coming through his forehead. If you can knock him out with this heavy 1.25-inch piece of oak, 18 inches long, known as a Japanese Tombow, you can knock him here and stop. Yeah, Garen says at least you're alive to argue the subject. And time and history will be on the side of right, on the side of what you're right. Hello, students. Good afternoon. Good to see you. We're just doing 30 seconds each hand on these basic strikes with the Japanese Tombow or your self-defense short stick. And again, if you don't have anything to hit, just practice in the air. This workout will start to make you sweat if you start gradually and then gradually start increasing your speed. So those are the basic slashing strikes. We started with a thrusting strike, and then we had angle 1, angle 2, horizontal strikes, and a vertical strike. After you've done that, I want you to go into the twisting of the wrist strikes. So from here, and this comes from the Irish stick fighting, I'm gonna twist this wrist over, and as it comes forward, that explosiveness is not just, it's a deceptive strike, so they don't see it coming most of the time, but it's so fast and so explosive, and it's easier on your wrist when you twist it. And your muscles here that do that twisting are very powerful. And you might have restrained, Deaf English says strikes to the head can be effective if the person trains chucks, yes, or stabs. Yeah, Garen said the stick from the fingers to the elbow to the fingertips. Absolutely. Most people are somewhere within the range of that. Notice that when you do this turning strike, you're also turning your body to get more power in the strike. So it's not just the wrist, it's a turn of the shoulders. And as you learned over and over again, you get the most power when you have 3 things. You have extension, right? Extension of the arm, extension of the stick, rotation of the shoulders and hips, turning into it. And then finally, if you can see in the mirror behind me, you can move that foot forward. And if you're sitting, you can't move your foot forward, but you can lean into it. And that leaning motion is going to increase the power and the effectiveness of that strike. So practice this one. I like to do this one for 60 seconds since you're doing both hands. And again, going faster and faster and faster and faster. Yeah, Garen says the collie stick will come all the way into your armpit. So collie sticks are usually 26, 28 inches. The Japanese Tombow is traditionally 18 inches, but it can be your length. You can cut it the length that you want. You might have a longer arm, you might have a shorter arm. You might want to carry this in a bag. You might want to go to 15 inches, but it's your stick, it's your self-defense. And the most important part of all this training, when you practice stick strikes for self-defense, using a short stick or any other stick, the most important part is the training that you carry with you wherever you go. Your stick might be at home, your stick might be in the dojo, or the dojang, or whatever you want to call it, your training center, but you roll up a magazine and all of a sudden you're fighting like Jason Bourne using the stick for self-defense, or you pick up a spatula, you go to the gas station, you're pumping your gas, you see some guy walking over, you don't feel comfortable, you reach in and get that squeegee out that that nobody wants to put on their windshield. It's full of that nasty water. That's a very hard stick. Pick one of those up next time you're pumping gas if you happen to do that. You'll see that that's about 18 inches long. You can hold that and you can create distance. That's the first part, the first reason you use a stick for self-defense. Create distance. Number two, it's a force multiplier. You are increasing your strength and your strikes and the power. Which brings me to the next strike. Yeah, frying pan, absolutely. Anything you can pick up and fight with for self-defense. And, if it's life or death especially, don't be limited by, it has to look like this. It can represent something like this, an improvised self-defense tool. Now the next one, I want you to use your whole arm as a giant lever with this stick coming out of it, and think about sticking it into his ear or his temple or his neck, and even practice as you warm up, going through higher, middle, low. You go through any range or any level of the strike, but it's this swinging motion. And when you do find something to hit, you'll find that that's a very powerful, easy on the body self-defense strike. Put it in the other hand and start to twist. Your other hand is always up, twisting, striking into his head for self-defense, into his ribs, into the hips, into the knees, into that thigh. Get that sciatic nerve, put them on the ground, but just twisting in your whole body, striking, moving forward with every strike, forward to stop him from hurting you or hurting someone you care about. Now the next thing I want you to do, the next strike, you're gonna slide, allow it to slide down so that the length is over your arm. This can become a good blocking motion. From here, oh yeah, Garen says maybe we can do a video where we demonstrate different found objects like a fishing rod. I finally found a great umbrella, the golfer's umbrella. Golfer's umbrellas are made to be indestructible because the golfer might be out, but just not in the lightning, right? Out on the course, starts to rain. They have to be able to not fall apart in a big wind. So they're pretty indestructible, and those are great self-defense tools. So from here, if this is his head, you can bring this in and through very quickly, that explosive motion, and notice that when you twist your wrist like that, you start to add more power. Rick said he used the Quartz insurance card for online exercise. Oh, I'm not sure how to help you with that one though, Rick. You're bringing it through here. The card was declined. I don't do any of the fulfillment on all that stuff. Those are just links. So I don't know. Send me an email and then I can help you figure it out. But just bringing this through, striking. Think about breaking his jaw with that motion, right? Just hard and fast or into his neck, bringing it across here, and then stick the long side into his throat for self-defense, or his nose, or his eyes, or to the other side of his head. So you strike him here and then come back here. Bring it in and bring it through. So you can just practice this back fist extending, reverse striking motion. Practice here, you can go down. He might be standing behind you. Practice striking behind you with this length. Go to his head, go to his groin, go to his head, go to his stomach. Wherever you can, stick it in his private parts, right? Turning your shoulders and your hips. And then when you step back into it, stepping back into it increases the power. Always remember that step. Put that step in there. JKS50 says made his staff out of ash wood. Yeah. Thought maybe should be a 1 inch, a little bit wider. You're gonna find 1 inch is perfect for most people's hands. I do have thicker staffs and I like to train with them to build strength. But for self-defense and speed, I like the 1 inch. Even a 7/8 inch made of hickory or white ash, really hard wood, gives you a really fast, explosive strike with a staff or a stick without sacrificing strength, because it's the harder the wood, and then it's a little bit heavier. I like this 1.25 inches for the shortest stick, because you get so much power because of the weight. And if you were here, you would feel this one. Some of you have these. This one, if you have both, the 1 inch, and I think got one of each there. You can see just that extra inch. Tori says, my shoulder exercise helped your shoulder. Did them on my plates. Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Keep doing those. I have healthy shoulders. For a long time, my shoulders hurt all the time for years, especially after the military and all the abuse that I did, until I started to pick up the Indian swinging clubs, and then moving the staff, and even doing these techniques all strengthen that. But the key is you have 3 heads of the shoulder. You have the front, the middle, the back. You have to do exercises for the rear, and a lot of people don't ever think of that. And if you think about like all these pulling strikes, all of those are right here. Sub John says, good videos. Watch the nunchuck videos. Thank you. I'm getting ready to do another nunchuck video this week. But these pulling motions, you can get really strong. And you know I love the bands. If you take that band and you just pull it back just this way, you're gonna feel that engage. The idea is this motion, pulling, and really building the power there. And then when you stick that elbow in his jaw, maybe he's got his hands around your neck, and you turn, your elbow goes higher than his hand, and you break his jaw with it, maybe extend that fist through his face for self-defense, you'll feel those shoulders working. So if you do have shoulder instability, or it's not as strong, you get some pain in there, and you start to get mobility back through these exercises, at some point get a really light band and start just pulling it here. Add that to your routine, watch that muscle grow, watch your shoulders get really powerful, and then all your strikes become faster and stronger with healthy, strong shoulders. All right, so we were here, we pulled it back here, this strike. I wanna come back to here because I neglected to mention this strike, one of my favorite strikes of all time, which is taking the short end of the stick. And the reason a lot of times we carry, I'm gonna grab the other stick again, we carry our stick like this in Kali or Filipino martial arts, is to trap and strip a weapon, either a knife or a stick or a sword, out of the other person's hand. You can see that's the function of this, but it's also to stick in his throat or break his teeth down his throat for self-defense, or smash him in the nose. And you can combine this reverse hand strike from here and then just drop it over top, kind of that Irish stick fighting move, 1, 2, right into his face. That can be very effective for self-defense. Just striking here and then rolling that in. So but practice this strike. And again, this is a great strike from behind you. He might, you might have multiple attackers. You have 3 or 4 thugs or whatever, and you hit this guy, and then you hit that guy, and then this guy's right there. You take it and you stick it right in his ear, or into his head, or into his rib cage, and this hard piece of oak into somebody's ribs. I don't care who they are, how strong they are, they're not gonna be able to withstand that. This is gonna break bone, especially when you have your whole body twisting. And like I keep saying, you add a step to that while you're stepping in, that's really, or bring this part down, Garen says, on the top of his head, right onto the bridge of his nose, right into his teeth, right into, maybe you don't hit the throat because you don't wanna kill him, but you wanna stick it right here on the top of his chest. If you've ever felt these nerves that are in here, I can feel that. You start to press that into those nerves, he's gonna feel that. And a lot of people, maybe, he's holding on to your wrist and you take it and you smash it into his arm, coming down into that. So this hard piece, this edge here, that just allows you to apply pressure. Yeah, stick it in his collarbone, Garen says. There's no limit to where you can stick it, right? Literally. You can stick it anywhere. You need to stick it for self-defense. The point is you get to go home safe. He goes home, he goes to the hospital or jail or both. They take him to the hospital, fix him up, put a couple of casts on him, sew his cuts up, and then he goes and sits in jail because he's a predator. He's known to the police as a bad guy, and you stopped him because he came after you and you had some self-defense training because you didn't want to be a victim and you trained to be your own first responder. That's the whole point of this. It's not to go out looking for a fight. It's if the fight comes looking for you and you can't get out of there, how do you defend yourself? Do you just go into curl up into a ball and let him beat you? Or even worse, he's got a knife or a slashing weapon, and you go like this, and he slices you all up, and you're lying there bleeding out when the cops show up? Or do you have a force multiplier that makes your strength, your power, your technique's even more powerful, your strike's harder. And it also gives you reach advantage, and you can stick this in his face before he even gets close, smash him in the nose a couple times, take it like this with two hands, my favorite technique of all, because it's the most powerful and it's the least obvious, is two hands, just like you're doing push-ups, and you just stick that straight into his face. And this heavy, hard piece of wood will smash anything it hits if you go right into his face. And you're going for his head, because if you can control someone's head, you can control their body. If you've ever seen a police takedown, law enforcement officers are taught to take the head and stick the head on the ground. If they can put the head on the ground, then the guy can't it's harder for him to get up. So if you can take this and you can smash that into his face, he's coming after you, he's hitting you, maybe his hands are on you, and you get this up and over and smash that right into his teeth, right into his face 2 or 3 times. And then from here, you can start to hit from side to side. You can bend your knees and smash using 2 hands. Imagine the force of that stuck right through his nose or right into his throat or into his solar plexus. Always bend your knees a little bit, go lower, and then use that like loading up the springs of a pickup truck with a bunch of weight. And then you take the weight out, the pickup truck comes up, you load your springs, and then you explode, and you unload, and all that force concentrated in this hard piece of oak into his solar plexus, into his chest, into his throat, maybe into the belly button or even lower, or right into his face for self-defense. And then you hit him there and you stop. Lives on Rumble. Yeah, Garen asked me when you do lives on Rumble. I'm trying to figure out Rumble, and I'm going to continue to put things on the Rumble platform. Hello, G. Carlton. Good afternoon. Let me see. The Joe staff use like a collie stick. Yeah, I can do that. But the Rumble, I haven't figured it out yet, so I'm not getting much traction. If you're on Rumble, follow me over there. Start to watch my videos, and then that could give me some traction. But I've uploaded a lot of videos, and it doesn't seem like many people are watching. But I haven't given up. I just don't know how to use it yet, so I'm still figuring it out. Maybe I have to do a live. Maybe that's the solution. Garen maybe got a great idea there. But smashing here, twisting, swinging, backside, starting with the thrust, your basic angles. We didn't talk about the angle coming up, but you can easily do this. You can bring this up on the side of someone's jaw really fast, or maybe he's reaching you and you bring your palm faces the sky, coming from the same hip. This is your right hand, bring it to your left shoulder, smashing straight up. That's a very effective strike. From the other side, coming up, twisting, and see how your wrist turns up when you do that? You have coming forward, you open your hand and snap it in like that. That adds to the power in the strike, the speed. You can do it from either side. This is a fun thing that we used to practice with the Korean Tombow. It's a stick with a hole in it and a string that wraps around your wrist. And I made one, I was gonna show you, and I was spinning it around, I almost hit myself, spin it around, and it broke the string. So we'll get that. Yeah. Oh. Cool, yeah, Garen says over on Rumble we can ask questions and say things that we can't say here. That's absolutely true. That's why you're seeing a lot of more conservative people who are saying things that the mainstream doesn't want them to say are on Rumble. So yeah, that's the truth. I've seen that to be true. So practice your basic strikes, practice strengthening exercises. A fun thing that you can also add to your training are these finger rolls. And finger rolls with the stick. Good afternoon, W9 UFO. It's good to see you here. This helps with the soreness. If you ever get tendonitis, which I never get anymore because I do this, and I put rubber bands around my fingertips and I extend. What I learned a long time ago from a physical therapist is I was getting, because I was bending nails, I was doing all kinds of, like ripping telephone books, trying to roll up pans, the frying pan. I never got that, got it halfway. But I was doing all these strongman things that just appealed to me, no good reason, except that I believe firmly, if you've got a strong grip, you can defeat most jiu-jitsu guys, who are, especially the Brazilian guys, who are so good at arm bars and kimuras and key locks and all those other things. It's hard for them if you don't let go, either if you're doing gi or no gi, and you have a good grip, it's hard for a guy who's not as strong as your grip to get some of those techniques, unless they're really good at it. If they know what they're doing, they can leverage their whole body, and they're a brown belt or higher in jiu-jitsu, forget about it. But up to like a blue belt, I can defeat most people who have more training than I do with a stronger grip. So that's why I do so much grip stuff. That and for striking, and I just like to, can't get a good phone book to tear anymore, but I've torn thousands of them. And I used to teach how to do it. People had how to do it. All my black belts had to learn how to tear a phone book just for fun, and then we would tear a deck of cards in half. Anyway, what I would do is I get a lot of pain here, and then I learned that you have flexors, those are the ones that close, and extensors, the ones that open, and if you don't exercise them evenly, it's like if a bodybuilder just curls and they get big biceps, they walk around like this all the time. You've seen guys like that, right? Especially young kids. And so you have to learn how to do extending motions with your triceps so that your arms you don't look like Tyrannosaurus Rex walking around. If you do a lot of push-ups, you also have to learn how to get the shoulders back and down. You gotta get the muscles in the upper part of the back engaged and activated. So I do a lot of balancing. So this is balancing for all these strikes that you're doing with your stick. If you throw it between your fingers, you just roll it, especially this thick one. This thick one is super oily too. I don't know if you can see the sheen on my hand. This is just out of the oil. Out of the oil, I wiped it off a little bit because I wanted to make this video for us, for you, for me. When I say us, I mean you and me. So I grabbed it out of the oil, wiped it down, not enough. And but it's good. It's that butcher block oil, so it's healthier than the stuff I was using. But that's just a good way to finish every workout. And you're not gonna get it right away unless you know how to do this. You have to be patient with yourself. If you drop it, pick it up, or catch it in the air if you can. Yeah, use a drumstick. I have a whole program I teach in schools called Tombow Taiko. It's based on Japanese taiko drumming, all the martial arts. And we beat these big balls and sit on I have a bucket. We start sitting on the bucket, beating the ball. Start on the ball, bouncing, and then we put the bucket. Somewhere on this channel, you can see my Japanese drumming videos. Oh yeah, Garen says just wrap it in the newspaper section. That'll suck all the stuff out of it, yeah. But if you, so when we do that, we do a lot of stuff. We're always hitting things with those drumsticks, using them like the Tombow. There you go. It says do the spins next to a bed. If you drop them, just pick them off the bed or maybe the back of a couch. Those are all good ideas. That way you don't have to bend over as much. It's painful for me. Thank you, Studer, for that generous gift. It's painful for me to bend down and pick things up right now because my hip's been so tight for so long, and I stretch it like a madman every day. It's getting better, and I've been doing a lot of exercises to get in there to try to break up some of those muscle adhesions and get stronger or whatever. But Garen says wrap it in a section of newspaper. That's a great idea. I never thought of that. That way it doesn't, you don't carry attention. No one notices. That's a great gray man, gray woman option. You bring it with your newspaper, you put it under your arm, and inside you've got your self-defense tool. I love that idea, Garen. Thank you. Garen always has great ideas on this channel. And I get that comment too. Why do you it's very distracting when you talk to the people and shout out. And I still do it for two reasons. One, because I really appreciate you all being here so much while I'm live. I know you don't have to watch it, and I love that you train with me. And two, I learn so much from you with these really great ideas and the smart questions, and so that's why I do it. But I appreciate you guys. Again, Stuart, thank you for that generous gift. I appreciate all of the super chats and the super thanks. When you guys give me those, that really helps. It's been 2 years with this, almost 3 years now, with this virtual or real dojo, the one you see that I'm in now, and I'm not getting any traction. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Never had this much trouble. I've been in this industry 35 years now. I've always been able to grow and attract students, and it's not happening. So I think maybe it's because I'm meant to spend more time with you. But all of those generous gifts that you guys give me, and sometimes you guys send them to me on PayPal too. I really appreciate that. and sometimes I get them in the mail. But that really helps keep the lights on, literally, as I pay my electric bill this morning. So finish with that, and then if you need to, get those bands. My favorite are the broccoli. We eat a lot of broccoli and chicken. Yuck, right? But you get used to it. It's so good for you. There's the macronutrients in there, have so many vitamins and the protein that we need, especially when we get older. And I know some people don't agree, but when we get older, I've learned from working with all the people that I work with who are much older and with doctors who specialize in older clients, you need more protein. So we get more protein, we retain more muscle. The more muscle you lose, the fatter you get, the more your joints hurt, the more you get all these other health problems. The more muscle you retain, the more fat you burn, the healthier you stay. But anyway, so you eat the broccoli, you buy it, it comes with a purple rubber band around the stalk for a lot of people. You put that, oh yeah, Garen says, showing how to build a dummy out of stacked tires would be good too. Garen, yesterday, my wife's car needed a new tire, and I don't know what she hit, but the side of it just exploded. I couldn't fix it. Down here, we pick up metal all the time, and probably once every 2 months, I'm plugging, which I grew up doing this stuff. So and I'm thankful that my father showed me how to plug a tire when I was a kid. So I'm plugging tires, pulling nails out, pulling screws out. But when it's in the sidewall, you got to get a new tire. So I was at the tire store yesterday, frustrated because of the cost of things. It's just ridiculous. But I saw just a whole stack of tires in the back. And they make you pay $5 to dispose of the tires. And I asked the guy, I said, can I buy some of those old used tires? I know you've been paid for them, and you're gonna sell them to someone else. He wouldn't let me buy them. But I was gonna do that, make a video. So it's interesting you said that. I'll just have to find another tire store. I need to get four new tires for my SUV, which is gonna cost like $1 million. So maybe when I go there, I go to a local guy. Just yesterday, no one was open but the one tire store. And so when I go over there, maybe I'll get a stack of tires, or even I think he's the kind of guy, he would let me film the video there. I always have sticks in my car. While he's changing my tires, we can stack them up, and I can show you how to use a stack of tires as an alternative. And it's not just an alternative, it's fun because the tires push back. So you actually get harder, faster strikes hitting tires, but you have to be careful because they bounce back and they'll hit you in the face and smash your glasses or break your teeth if you don't pay attention. But we'll do that. Again, thank you so much for that, generous. And thank you guys when you give me the thumbs up and the subscribe to this channel. And that allows me to keep in touch with you. All your comments in the comment section, let me know what we need to work on next. So if you would, please go in the comment section. Let me know if you work with one of these. Did you make it yourself? Did you buy it? Have you wanted to try it but you haven't yet? Or if you have no interest in the stick, just say, stick's not for me. I prefer to do whatever, open hand, elbows. I prefer to do jiu-jitsu. I prefer to do the long staff, the cane. Let me know in the comment section what your weapon of choice is. Or if you're like me, you want to train them all so that you have every skill possible. If anybody ever touches your family or threatens you, and this is what you need to learn, especially as a man or a woman. Anything that threatens you, you have to threaten it back. Anybody that threatens your family, you threaten them back. And I'm not saying we'll go out looking for fights and be mean, but just be ready. Have that mental trigger to say, hey, I'm my own first responder. I'm not waiting for anybody else to come here. I'm not saying you have to fight, but just speak up. And yeah, Garen says those tires are heavier. Speak up for yourself, right? Say, you don't have to like me, but you can't talk to me like that. You don't have to like me or believe what I believe, but you cannot touch me. You can't hurt me. You can't harm me. You can't take away my freedoms, my liberties, my right to speak just because you disagree with me. And I think we all need to learn how to speak up and say that. It starts with, back up, put your hands up, step back, you're too close, don't come any closer. And then you tell them, stop, don't touch me. Not please, not it hurts my feelings when you say that. Just stop. You don't have to like me, you don't have to agree with me, but do not touch me. Don't touch my family. Don't go anywhere closer to my family, and mean it and be able to back it up. And I'm not saying back it up with fighting, but back it up in your heart, back it up in your mind, because you know what truth is and what right is. And we're not all perfect. I make mistakes all the time. You will. But together, when we come here and train, we learn from each other. So again, put that in the comment section. What are you working on? What do you want to work on? And I'll see you guys in just a little bit.